Right? Oftentimes, biosecurity, biotechnology concerns lag behind semiconductors, AI, etc. And so, to some extent, it's actually a good thing that this conversation is happening. It starts with this Biosecure Act, which again is about federal procurement only, but then it will trickle into the market overall. And there are places where currently the United States market, and particularly in pharmaceuticals, is reliant upon some of those named entities in China that are part of this act. You want to make sure that American pharmaceutical companies and biotechnology companies are on an even footing in terms of their ability to compete both inside the U.S. market and then also abroad. So I definitely view this as more of an industrial policy game rather than a data protection game. Although, of course, at the margins you will hear, "Hey, I don't want American patients' data making its way to Chinese servers."
So the company was originally born here in the Bay Area in California, went through the traditional VC funding rounds, finally went IPO in kind of the depths of the '08 recession. And so from, I think, around 2010 to 2013 was a publicly listed company here in the US. At that time was then bought by a Chinese entity. Like the whole inclusion of complete genomics in the Biosecure bill is under the premise that by getting complete genomics out, we're protecting, somehow the U.S. is protecting data. Well, the fact is that we don't actually have access to the data. So if that is not a true statement, then really what's the point of complete genomics being in the bill in the first place, right? With complete genomics, let's say hampered by the bill, then the real losers would be researchers and even taxpayers, right? Because researchers now have less competition, and as any of us as consumers can see that when there's less competition in the market, things cost more, maybe service gets worse, et cetera. American companies are selling to China, Chinese companies are selling to America, so the customer bases are very global. The supply chains are very global, so I think it takes a lot to really decouple, and I would suspect that doing the decoupling is actually much more difficult than it maybe sounds, right? That it's not as easy as just pulling up stakes and saying don't use this, because these supply chains, these networks have been built over many years, and so it's very hard to unwind them at the drop of a legislative pen.